Hey guys, so today's look was inspired by The Nun from The Conjuring 2, and I've seen this one all over the place, but I wanted to give it a go, and a lot of you guys requested it this year, so let's get into it. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Samhain Contact Lenses provides me with my contact lenses, and these are a new style that they're trying out, and they're going to be called Demon Nun. So if you're interested in checking out any of their lenses, all their information is linked down below. I've already blocked out my brows, and I'll have a video on how I do that linked around as well. Now I'm going in with a white cream makeup. I like to put it on the back of my hand first and kind of soften it up because it is pretty thick, and then I'm just applying that all over the face, everywhere except for around the eye areas, and I am taking it all the way up to my hairline, which you don't really need to do if your costume's going to be covering part of your forehead. And then we're just taking that down to about the jawline, since the costume should be covering down there as well. But if your costume's not going to be covering that, you can always take it down onto your neck. Next, we're taking a powder. You can use either a colorless or a white powder for this, and I'm just pressing that all over that cream makeup to set it in place. You could also use a white water activated body paint for your white base, in which case you would not need to powder it. I'm then applying an eyeshadow base all over the lids and down underneath the eyes using a brush to blend that out, and then I'm taking a super black gel eyeliner and applying that to the entire eye area, focusing on applying most of that product to the lid up to the crease, and then using a clean blending or buffing brush to really blend out all the edges. Here we just really want to soften up all the edges. They don't necessarily need to be a super clean, pretty blend. You can make this as smudgy as you want to. I'm also applying that black gel liner underneath the eyes, again switching to that buffing brush to blend and smudge out the edges. We're then going to go in with a black pencil liner to line the waterline all the way around the eye, just to really black everything out. Then I'm going to smudge that down onto the lower lash line. You can see here that I've blended it down onto the eye bag area and also the top of the nose contour. So now I'm taking a matte black eyeshadow and applying that all over where we applied the gel liner. Again, focusing the most product to the base of the lid and along the lash line and blending it out. I'm also going to be applying some of that eyeshadow over top of the black eyeliner along the lower waterline, just to help set that in place so it stays super black throughout the night. And I used Sigma's waterline brush to do that. And now I'm just repeating those same steps on the other eye, keeping in mind that these two eye shapes don't need to be exactly the same. I am using a bunch of different reference photos as I'm doing this, so I'm constantly modifying each of the shapes if I feel like something needs to be a bit different. This is really sort of a free look that you can change up and modify to either fit your face shape or however you want it to look. It's really easy to change up and customize, yet still be the same recognizable character, if that makes sense. I also decided to add a bit of a furrowed brow, so I'm just creating those lines coming up around where our natural eyebrow would sit, and then again just blending out those lines to soften them. Continuing with the black gel liner, I'm taking that along the cheekbones, and I am taking this up a bit higher than I normally would. Again, blending and smudging it out, and I really want to hollow the cheeks out, so I'm going to blend it in toward the nose and then down toward the jawline. I'm taking this contour up onto the temples and forehead, keeping in mind that part of the forehead is going to be covered with our costume. I'm then starting to sharpen up that contour where we want to hollow out the cheek, again blending it out, but this time I just want to focus on blending it down from that line so we can start creating a shadow. I'm also contouring more down the sides of the nose and around the nostrils, and then to make my nostrils appear more flared out and the nose kind of more pointed, I'm applying some of that black gel liner to the outsides of the nostrils, giving it more of a V shape, and then I'm blending that out a little bit just to create some shading, and then applying more of that black gel liner nearest the nostrils to darken it, and then applying some of the black eyeshadow over top. I decided to go in and darken and sharpen that hollow of the cheek, so I'm applying more of the black gel liner, again blending it down from that line to create a shadow. I forgot to mention that the brush I'm using so far to first apply all the black gel eyeliner is just a flat eyeshadow brush. I'm also taking that gel eyeliner and applying it along the jawline and blending and smudging it up. As I'm applying and blending out all these contours, I'm also blending and smudging it kind of onto the entire white base, so we don't really have any perfect spots of white. So now we have all of our basic contouring done, and we're going to do those same things to the other side of the face. As I'm blending this up onto the temple and forehead on this side, I'm also going to create a line straight across the forehead where our costume is going to hit. I'm blending that line out as well and then continuing on with the rest of the contour on this side. I decided to take those areas that were hollowing out on the cheek just up a little bit. And again, we're going to blend that out, and then I also decided to take those lines down more straight rather than, you can see how they were curving outwards at first. And they were just kind of giving me more of a gorilla vibe, so I took those lines straight down, again blending them out to soften them. Then I'm applying that same black gel liner to the lips, starting at the very center and then working my way out. And I'm kind of switching back and forth between the flat and buffing brushes until I was pretty happy with the shape. Again, you can blend and smudge this out as far as you want to, or keep it a smaller shape. I just recommend keeping a bunch of different reference photos that you like on hand so that you can constantly look at them and look at your face and see what you're liking and what you're not liking. I'm then going to start darkening all the contours using the black eyeshadow, and this one on the forehead, you'll want to blend it up further than you think your costume is going to go, just in case it does peek through so you don't have any of your skin showing. Then just continue to apply this shadow to the darkest part of your contours, blending and smudging it out. At this point, I am still taking that eyeshadow and kind of smudging and blending it all over the white base. Then I also decided to use this black eyeshadow to define the chin shape a little bit more. Then to add more texture, I'm picking apart the top of a makeup sponge, making sure that it doesn't have any sharp edges or corners. And then going back in with my white cream makeup, I'm going to start stippling that all over the base, taking it back onto some of those contours to break up the color a bit. And you can see that I covered most of my top lip, but you can kind of just ignore that. I decided I wanted to modify that mouth shape, and you can see here that I added some more black and more white. I was just kind of struggling with what I wanted to do with the mouth shape, but I kind of just ended up with the same shape that I started with, so just ignore that. I'm stippling this onto the eye areas as well, again to help break up that color. Now we're going to do the same thing with the black, and when you're stippling this on either the white or the black, you want to make sure you're constantly moving or rotating your sponge. Otherwise, you're going to get more of a stamped look rather than a textured, grungy, smudgy look. So again, we're stippling this kind of all over the face, focusing more toward the contours, but we are going to take it on to the rest of the face as well. Again, so we don't have any perfect white areas. You can of course go back and forth between the black and the white until you're happy with how it looks. Moving back to that gel eyeliner, this time on a super fine detail brush, I'm going to start creating some of the details. And I'm first giving her some crow's feet out from the corners of each eye, and you can kind of squint your face to see where you would naturally have those wrinkles and those lines. And then I'm also accentuating and defining the eye bags and also the areas around the eyes. I'm creating sharper lines on those inner parts and then kind of leaving it more blended out on the outer edges. And then again, I'm using some reference photos to create some of the lines that she has going around her face and around the nose and eyes. And then I'm using my blending brush to soften those out just a bit. This is kind of our first run, so once we have those lines blended out, just so they're a little bit softened, we're gonna go back in with the black body paint to really define and darken those lines. And then since we did blend out some of those areas, I'm going back in with those stippling sponges to add some of that texture back in. To those new areas that we added the black eyeliner, I'm adding some more of my black eyeshadow to help set and darken it. I was looking back at my reference photo and decided I wanted to define the nose shape a bit more, so I'm adding a bit of a cleft to the very center tip of the nose, and I'm curving that line slightly so that the nose doesn't appear totally straight. And then I'm adding some lines to the sides of the nose to create that crooked shape that she has. I also decided to add some darker shading around the outsides of the nostrils. I felt like I needed to add some warmth in there, so I'm taking a warm tan eyeshadow and applying that to kind of random areas around the face, around some of the contours, the nose, and the mouth, then adding some darker shading in between the Cupid's bow. I go back to my stippling sponges quite a bit if I feel like I need to add some more texture or break up the color in any parts of the face. Then I'm going to go in with a black water activated body paint on a stiff paintbrush, and I'm wearing a glove on my right hand so that my finger doesn't get all gross, but I'm just splattering some of that black body paint around the face again to add some more texture, and I just kind of liked the idea of that splatter effect. So I'm focusing most of that around the contoured areas, but I am adding a little bit of it around the entire face. And then I just use that brush to stipple on some more black in areas that I felt like needed to be darker. I'm just using my finger to blend that out in certain areas, and then I'm going to use that black body paint on a fine detail brush to really define and darken all of the lines. Then again, I'm just running over each of those lines with my blending brush just one time to soften them just the tiniest bit. Then to really make sure the eyes are super blacked out, I'm applying some black mascara to top and bottom lashes, and then I decided to add some black tooth enamel to give the teeth more of a pointed shape. So you want to make sure your teeth are super dry, and I'm just applying this with the brush that it comes with. You can always use a smaller paintbrush if you want to get more detailed, or if you feel like you need to use a smaller brush. Once it's dry, it should be good through any regular eating or drinking, and then I just use my toothbrush and toothpaste to brush it off when I want to take it off. I'm just applying this to mainly my front teeth that you can see when you just open your mouth, because you can't really get to the back teeth and keep them dry and everything. But that's gonna do it for this look, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. We're almost to Halloween, so thank you so much for tuning in this season. I have a couple more videos. I hope to see you there. Check out all the info down in the description, and I will see you next time.